Good evening, my friends. So, I normally have in these videos a topic that I like to talk about, or that I choose to talk about, depending on the day. And this evening, I simply don't have a topic. So what is going to happen tonight is I'm going to have an open forum, and as soon as you guys, I'm throwing this all on you. I'm throwing the bricks on you. As soon as you guys, in the words of Linda Richman, pick a topic. Peanuts and either pea nor and not discuss. As soon as you guys pick a topic, I will then fire up the SLR camera, which is pointed at my face, but is not recording as of yet. And then I will then record this in HD. So I'm gonna wait for you guys to blurt out your comments. It's interesting, I'm doing this for two reasons. One, I didn't really plan anything for today, but I feel like I need to speak to you guys. Oh, my friend Michael Brenner. Okay, my friend Michael Brenner, who works in, I think you told me it was virtual reality apps, wants me to talk about a topic which I have let's put it this way, I have ideas about, but I don't really know anything about. He wants me to talk about time travel. Okay, so we're going to put that for now, at least for the next 5 minutes, on the back burner. So I'm going to I'm going to let you guys, I'm sorry, this is hilarious. I love this guy. I met Michael once. We met once, actually, at an Aliyah event, a Nefesh B'Nefesh, organized in Manhattan, in the city. And, started talking, this and that, we connected. Michael is in the process of making Aliyah. He has some, logistical issues to figure out, B'ezrat Hashem, without telling you too much of Michael's details. I don't know if it's my place. So Michael wants me to talk about time travel. Okay, so time travel, I actually already have some idea of what I would talk about if I spoke about time travel. It's not necessarily dafka about time travel itself, but it's about something that happened, or something that was happening 30 years ago, where if it happened again today, or if somebody reignited something like this today, it would be very, very good. I just don't know if it would be possible given the, how should I put this, given the environment. I just don't know if this generation, especially the people who are, today in their 20s, maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, but I just don't know if they're capable of having this conversation and of hearing these ideas, these words, or this lashon, this type of language, nomenclature, what have you. I don't know if their sensitive ears and hearts will be able to handle it. I'm talking about the, if you guys ever seen, there used to be a thing called the Jackie Mason Show. You guys know the comedian Jackie Mason, so he used to have a talk show. Actually a quite serious talk show. He threw some humor in there. But the talk show consisted of people coming on his show of different races, and he had a couple of these shows, or a couple of these episodes, where it was a lot of these black leaders, whether it was pastors or professors or community leaders, what have you, and they came on. One of the shows actually, he had basically all of them, but some of them are from, let's say, one side of this political spectrum, and then the others are the other side, and they were debating each other. Another show, he had Jewish leaders. This is right after, during the Crown Heights riots, So they had like Jewish leaders in New York versus black leaders in New York, and not just New York, all over the place. And you guys could go see this on YouTube. This happened. They're basically 30 years ago. You're talking about 1989, 88, 89, 90. I remember when we first came to America. These conversations, these were hot conversations, and it was actually great. You know, it was actually great. And Jackie Mason, of all people, was facilitating these conversations. And you guys could go look at his channel on YouTube. It's called The Ultimate Jew, which is kind of a funny name. And you could find, there's two videos. One called, I literally was just looking at them today. One video is called something like Racial Relations, and the other video is called something like Justice, Crime and Justice in America, something like that. Amazing conversations. I'm not going to go over every last detail, but just understand, you know, the stuff that... I'll just turn this on. So, yes, so we're just talking about time travel. So the stuff that Candace Owens, for example, is doing today, with all the stuff that she's putting out, you know, she's basically, you basically have her, and you have, you know, Thomas Sowell, people like Thomas Sowell, saying certain things, and they are basically being labeled a name by both the, you know, many people in the African American community, as well as people on the, you know, leftists, and they're being called racists, Uncle Tom, self-haters, white supremacists, or I don't know, helping white supremacists. But my friends, if you speak, you know, if we're talking about time travel, my friend brought up time travel. If we go back in time 30 years ago, 35 years ago, we will see that these conversations are being had, and these conversations were being had within the African American community, and we look like we were starting to make some headway, and then all of a sudden the conversation stopped. Somebody stopped this conversation. I don't know if it was because, you know, people or African American community finally thought that they had, you know, so to speak, the magic bullet, for lack of a better term, when President Obama was elected. And I think that they started sitting on their laurels, and they thought, well, this guy's now, we have a black president, so this guy's going to be all in for us, right? And we saw what happened in the 8 years he was president. Guys, I hate to say it, whether you support him or not support him, or you did support him, you have friends who support him, you know, in his home city of Chicago, basically you now have what amounts to like Iraq in America, you know, Baghdad in America, during, I don't know, like the worst wars we ever had over there, right? So, to the point where they call certain parts of Chicago Chirac. And we're talking about, you know, even if you have gun control, somehow these guys get their hands on some of the most deadliest weapons and bring, you know, they get on the streets, and that's all she wrote, right? And it's basically, you know, south side of Chicago is basically one of the murder capitals, if not of the world, if of America, you know, a close second to like, I don't know, Kabul and like Baghdad, or, you know, some of the deadliest places in the Middle East. I'm serious. I'm really serious, my friends. You could go look this up. So I don't know. Maybe our African American community started resting on their laurels. I don't know what the reason is. I don't know why these conversations stopped. Maybe it's because something started happening, or something continued happening in the university system, where, you know, language was curtailed, or language was changed, or people started speaking in a more politically correct language, and people can't, you know, started, you know, basically being afraid of having certain conversations. For example, I was watching these videos, again, Jackie, for those of you guys who are joining, talking about the Jackie Mason show. 30 years ago, he used to have these shows where people actually went on and spoke about race in a very, very open and frank way, and they used to use certain language. Today, people would just deem it borderline racist, but they were saying God's honest truth, whether you're talking about a Jewish person, a white person talking, or a black person talking, right? So, and they were having these debates, and they're talking about, you know, on one side there's like a pastor. I'm just giving you an example. He comes on and he says, you know, guys, I forget his name. His last name is Mann, M-A-N-N. I think he probably passed away by now. He looked like he was like in his 60s back then. So he goes, brothers and sisters, Before we start talking about, the white man killing us, or before we start talking about even the cops killing us, we have to start talking about, we have to really have a conversation about black men killing other black men. And then he goes, if white people were killing us as much as we kill each other, we would have a race riot in America. Some people clapped, other people started screaming at him. It's interesting. The conversations were very, very interesting. And then you had another guy saying, listen, guys, nobody is forcing you. He's talking about, what happens in the black home, right? So he's saying, guys, we're talking about schools, we're talking about on the streets, we're talking about with cops, we're talking about this and that and the other. Well, why are we not talking about what's happening at home? Everything starts at home, right? He goes, this is a gentleman, by the way, from the NAACP. From the NAACP, he goes, something Hawkins, I forget, also prominent person back then. He goes, no one is forcing you to watch these programs. Nobody's forcing your kids to watch these programs. If you get money, whether it's from your job or from the government, nobody's forcing you to make the choices that you make to go and to buy certain things or whatever it is. Nobody's coming literally putting a gun to your head and forcing you to, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's forcing you to do that. A lot of interesting comments, and again, today, these comments are made primarily by, as far as I know, three people. Thomas Sowell, if that, maybe, because he mostly talks about economics, less so about race. Candace Owens, and Larry Elder, right? So three people, 2.5 people, right? Don't confuse what I'm saying with the, 3/5 of a person. What I mean by 2.5 people is that the half person talks about it very sparingly. He's a full person, don't worry. Thomas Sowell is definitely, yeah. Anyway, so, these conversations are few and far between, and any person who dares to say these things is a racist, self-hater, I don't know, Uncle Tom, every name under the sun. And people cannot even, people who went through the university system in this country cannot even hear these things being said because they've been so indoctrinated and inundated with, something that has the word theory at the end of its title, and the acronym is CRT, right? Critical Schmace theory, critical place theory, critical face theory. I don't want to trigger the algorithm here, speaking of triggering. So they've been so indoctrinated with this, and the irony is that it just is what it says. It's a theory. It not only is it a theory, it's actually a very crackpot theory that has not been even empirically tested or proven or anything otherwise. But these people have been so indoctrinated with these ideas to the point where if somebody comes and challenges their theory and says, well, okay, I see what you're saying, but here, let me start, I'm going to start poking holes in what you're saying with, I don't know, history, with facts, with figures, with economics, with all of these nuanced things that you didn't even consider, you purveyor of these theories. And these people, instead of having an actual debate with the person that's coming to poke holes in their theory, they cannot have the debate. They're not capable of the debate. They don't have it in them to have the debate, or were trained maybe to purposely, on purpose, not have the debate. Because there has to be just, an understanding. And by the way, on top of that, what they do is, anyone who doesn't believe what they believe in their theory, they call it a theory, right? They go on Twitter and they write things like, well, I wonder, how long is it going to take for us, by us they mean those people who are purveyors of that theory and other crackpot similar theories, to take these people who don't agree with us and re-educate them. Maybe we have to put them into schools, into, I don't know, not camps, but certain places. Maybe we have to round them up. I'm telling you, my friends, this is something that is happening, and you guys might be saying, well, these things only happen. Twitter is full of a bunch of leftists. Let them play. They have their playground. It's called Twitter. They have their blue check marks, and they have their prominence, and their membership in the thought leader society or the thought leader camp. My friends, what happens on Twitter doesn't only stay on Twitter. What happens on Twitter ends up on the streets of places like Portland, places like Seattle, places like New York, Manhattan, places like Minneapolis, Minnesota, and other places. Right? It doesn't just stay in the Twitter sphere. Not only that, my friends, I'm talking to you now to my Jewish friends. I know some Orthodox Jewish people who are subscribing to these theories, right? And they are pushing this stuff onto, into the minds, into the, so to speak, blank slates of people in the Orthodox Jewish community, younger generation, right? And they're basically just bringing these ideas unchallenged, right? They're not being challenged. And if you do challenge them again, you get called a name. They'll say, we know how you people are in the Orthodox community. You guys are a bunch of racists. Of course, what I'm saying you have a problem with because da-da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 blah. And, your version of the Torah is like this, like, ancient thing, and you live, in the time of the troglodytes, and this is how I bet you want to subjugate. You probably believe in what do they call it? Polygamy and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, you want to live just like our forefathers and foremothers. Blah 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 blah. My friends, I'm telling you, I've this all sounds funny, but I've had these conversations with so-called Orthodox, progressive, claimed Orthodox, progressive people in the Orthodox community. My friends, at the risk of going, and I've had this, I've made videos on just this topic alone before, at the risk of going on a rant about that, again, so this goes to show that Twitter is not, what happens on Twitter doesn't stay on Twitter. And this is what is happening, and if you try to have a conversation with people, and I have, and it's crazy because it's one thing to sit around, and watch things like Joe Rogan and watch programs like, I don't know, Ben Shapiro or whatever it is, and hear about people who propagate these things and how they behave towards people who disagree with them. It's quite another to, go on Twitter, respond in one of the threads, or post something original, and then get just a flood, a barrage of these people just, like, just racist, misogynist, Islamophobe. It's like a just like I don't even know how to describe it. What's that, guys? It's just and I had this happen to me maybe like 2 or 3 times, and it's astounding. It's astounding. And it gets so bad. And so, like, I don't want to use the word frightening, but it just gets really bad to the point where you, like, sometimes you wish, in that moment, you wish that somebody from Twitter would come along and just disable your account just so you could, like, escape. Because you're, like, you don't even know what to do. You like, freeze up, and these people are just, like, attacking. They just go on the attack. They can't even have a debate, an actual discussion. They cannot even take your the ideas, isolate the ideas and poke hole in the idea. They go right for you personally. You're a this and you're a that, and and then they look at your profile and where you're from and whatever it is. Like they find something about you and they say, yeah, oh, typical, blah 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 blah. They just go right for the, what I'm saying, right for the kisser. Because they can't otherwise. They cannot stand to have their crackpot theories, to have holes poked in the crackpot theories. They cannot even so much as have that discussion. Why? Because they never had to have that discussion, because they were in this, bubble of safe space in their university, where basically it is in fact a It's not even an echo chamber. Again, it's like more of a biodome. If you guys have seen the movie Biodome with what's his name, Adam Sandler and Stephen Baldwin, very, looking back, it was like a very stupid movie at the time, even stupider the time it came out. But it's actually quite funny. And these guys are just stuck in this biodome, right? So these kids, they're in a biodome. They're not living in the real world, right? But the crazy part is that once they get out of this biodome, and they hear other opinions, not just straight up like opposite of what they believe, but maybe nuanced opinions, maybe things that are like, well, I agree with part of what you're saying, but I don't agree with the whole thing. Like for these people, it's like all or nothing. They can't stand even like, if you don't agree with everything they believe, then you're also in the camp of the enemy. You're also in the enemy. My friends, I'm telling you, it's really just, people who are blank slates came to a certain place, a certain institution, and somebody just took a blank slate and drew whatever they want on that slate, and they didn't even teach these people, these kids, to think critically. And not only that, some way, somehow, these kids are taught that anybody who doesn't think like them is a sworn enemy, and that person doesn't even deserve to live. At best, that person should be ostracized, especially even if they're in your family. And my friends, everything I just told you, I'm telling you as, I'm not sitting here, my goal is not to sit here and regurgitate everything that, I don't know, Ben Shapiro says and all these kind of people. I'll tell you guys, I'm saying this from the perspective of a person, and I've told you guys this before, who is the child of Soviet dissidents. People who experienced this firsthand in a place called the Soviet Union. And, if you talk to them today, they'll tell you everything that's been happening with the people I just spoke about, the people I just described, is a textbook. I can't even I'm not going to call it communist. This is Bolshevik, let's say Soviet, let's use the word cultural Marxist way of operating. This is textbook stuff, my friends. Textbook. Dismissing people, ridiculing them, calling them, we see now with this whole voter fraud stuff, conspiracy theorist. My friends, everything under the sun, and then telling them that if you don't agree with what I'm saying, you don't even deserve, you get canceled. You're going to get canceled. I was just talking to a friend of mine today. She said her friend got a job, and at the interview, it's a small company, the boss asked her, who do you support? And without shame, she said who she supports, and now her boss, every meeting, makes fun of her. And my friend who I spoke to said, I told my friend that she can sue for A, discrimination, and B, for some form of like harassment. And she doesn't want to, she likes the job, blah 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 blah, whatever it is. Otherwise it's good. Besides this whole ridicule that she gets at every meeting, she likes the job and she's good at it and whatever it is. My friends, this is basically a very, what I just described to you, this is a very, very light version of what my parents had to endure in the Soviet Union when they either came, somebody found out at their job that they even so much as disagree with the regime, or disagree with certain things, or disagree with certain things in society, or somebody found out or finds out that they want to leave the country, or they applied to leave the country. In their case, this happened in 1977. My parents automatically lost their jobs. My father had to go work odd jobs just to support the family, and they had to undergo interrogations by the KGB. Interrogations, my friends. No, not what Trump did with Raffensperger, which is basically to give him a chance to come clean, to save himself and other Republicans, because he already has all the information. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but okay. But actual interrogations, both my parents, my mother and my father, experienced interrogation, as my friend's saying. Neo Politburo is trying to install sock puppet Biden. Yes, correct. My friend Brian Lasseter, I'll tell you something. Biden is not even a sock puppet. He's more of a discardable, just like a one-time use. I'm not gonna say the word, but he's a one-time use something. Okay, and as soon as they're done, you know, God forbid if they go on and if actually Kamala Harris actually resigns from her Senate seat, which she actually, interestingly enough, did not yet. But if she ever does that and gets to do that, she will become the president. And then Lord help us. And then Van Jones, you know Mr. Van Jones, the guy who was working on prison reform with Jared Kushner, and then who they did some great work, and then who cried, not Kushner but Van Jones cried on election night because Biden and then Trump's reign was over. Van Jones cried. Van Jones is going to be crying even more when he sees what Kamala Harris will do to young black men in America. And I'm not talking about what. I'm talking about lock them up. Lock them up one by one, my friends. And then Van Jones is going to cry, and he's going to say, and then they're going to ask him, what do you think about this? And he's going to say, well, I was hoping for this, and I didn't get this, but we're working on it, and we're talking, and we're this, and we're that, and blah, 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 And that's what we're going to see. That's what we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of what I like to call kabuki theater from a lot of people leftists who are going to be very, very, very disappointed with their choice of president. And what is going to happen to them, I will tell you. They are going to come out against this person or these people who are in power, and then slowly they will be silenced, they will be removed from the public sphere, and the conversation will be over, and then we will be under the complete and total control of these wonderful people who have been at the helm for the past 30 years, whether they were Democrat or Republican. This is the nightmare scenario version that I am describing to you guys. If Trump does not, as I suspect that he will, show his cards, much like in Sun Tzu's Art of War, you save the best for last. If Trump doesn't have it, I think he does, but if on the off chance he doesn't, and he doesn't show it, then this place is pretty much over. And then, my friends, you guys might be saying to yourself, well, if it's over, we're screwed. The world is screwed. No, the world's not screwed. And then we're going to have the acceleration of the Geulah process. The only problem is it's going to be not via what's called Rachamim. It's going to be via Isurim. It's going to be via many, many, many problems. And we better just pray. We better hold on tight. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But we better hold on. We better pray. We better do mitzvot. And be vigilant, my friends. That's what we have to get ready to do anyway. I ran into a friend of mine in the supermarket like a month ago, and his brother already made Aliyah. I mean, he made Aliyah originally, but then he moved back, and then he went back to Israel with his wife. And I said, "No." I said, "No. When are you making the move?" He's Israeli, by the way. He's like, "Yeah, we're working on it." And I basically said, "Yeah, man, it doesn't. It really doesn't matter." This was after the election already. So I said, it really doesn't matter who stays in. If it's Trump or Biden, really, you understand, it doesn't matter for us, right? It's just a matter of how. He's like, "Yep, I totally agree. Working on it, figuring it out," and that's basically it, my friends. That's basically it. So everything I'm telling you guys, again, you might be saying, so Tzvi, if you're saying for everybody to just, start the process of moving home, right, moving back to Israel, so why are you telling us this stuff about America? Listen, at the end of the day, it's not nice to see some, power where there are in fact a lot of good people, even people on the left side of the political spectrum. Not everybody's bad, right? Some people are just misguided, some people are just whatever it is, bleeding hearts, whatever you want to call it. Um, it's sad. I don't want to watch destruction. I don't want to watch this total and utter collapse. Not only that, I don't want to be of, so to speak, a not a victim, but I don't want to be one of the people who's here physically and being like having their freedoms taken away or having to like escape because there's some policies that are being enacted that are like, oh my God, like I have to get the heck out of here. Like we saw today or yesterday with this new law that they're trying to pass in New York State. They're going to put people in, like, God forbid, camps. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy. By the way, Shara Adams, I see you said Kamala Harris already did resign. I have to check that because today, as of today, I read that she did not. That she participated in the swearing in of Congress. So I'm not really sure. Actually, you know what? Let me see. Kamala Harris. Second. Kamala Harris. Let's see. Oops. Let's see. It doesn't say anything about her. Kamala Harris. I'm not sure really, actually. I mean, so far she has her page. Kamala Harris, U.S. Senator for California. Yeah, she's still, oops, 2017. Yeah, talking about her history. Okay. Oh, okay, here we go, yeah. December 22nd. Yeah, New York Times, or all these different things. Alex Padilla is picked to fill Kamala's. Okay, so let's see Alex Padilla. Let's see if he was sworn in. Then that means Kamala Harris is. Oh, see, still says California Secretary of State. Alex Padilla for California. Twitter. U.S. Senator designate. See, it's a designate. So Kamala Harris is still. You see. Alex Padilla is California Secretary of State. He assumed office in 2015. So it's a valid PDF. So he's still in his position in California as Secretary of State of California. Oops. U.S. Senator designate. Okay. Kamala Harris, Vice President elect. One second. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this, what we're saying here. And doesn't say. Hold on, wait. Okay, yes. Oh, here we go. Yes, okay. So, upon her election, Harris is expected to resign from her seat prior to taking office. So it doesn't say anything about, you see? On January 20th. So she has not resigned yet. And be replaced by California Secretary of State Alex Padilla. So she hasn't resigned yet. It would have said that she resigned. So she did not resign, as far as I know. Just nobody's talking about it. And we know why. Okay. So, my friends. Oh, a second. Somebody just... Wow. Sorry, guys. I just realized that I posted a... You know what? I'm just going to turn off this recording. 1 second. I just realized that I posted a link that talks about the Secretary of State Raffensperger in Georgia and how he was helped by Chinese, people from the Chinese government to get into power in his own elections a few years ago. And the link has now been taken down. Interesting. Okay. Actually, not so interesting, not surprising. Anyway, par for the course. So, my friends, now that we understand everything as if we didn't understand it before, it's been really, really real. And today is January 4th. We're 2 days out of what is going to be at the very least, a very interesting day in America, and obviously has ramifications for the whole world. It's going to be a very, very interesting day. I'm probably going to have a watch party with my friend. I see they're dismantling Biden's inaugural stand. Yeah, it's interesting because Biden said that he's like, I don't want anybody to come to my inauguration. What does it mean? Because I'm not going to have an inauguration, or what? Like, or it just doesn't. It's just really it's so interesting. This whole thing is just like, hold on a second. Inaugural. Here. Biden plans minimalist trip from Capitol to White House on Inauguration Day. Biden inauguration will have virtual nationwide parade. My friends, this is really unbelievable. My gosh. It's really unbelievable what the difference is, you know? It's just... Yeah, okay, they have a Wikipedia page. Inauguration of Joe Biden. Okay. Inauguration take place during the COVID-19 pandemic. Festivities will be limited to prevent the spread of virus that causes... Okay. Live audience will be limited to members of U.S. Congress and for each one of their guests. Resembling a State of the Union address, public health measures such as mandatory face coverings, testing, temperature checks, and social distancing will be used for the ceremony. My friends, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, like, Biden's events had no one there. And it wasn't because of COVID, there just was nobody there. There was just no one there. It's amazing. Because people are not excited about him. They're just, the people who quote-unquote voted for him, it's not because they voted for him, it's because they hate Trump. Or whatever, I don't know. There. I'm just reading, like... The Capitol Police Board has restricted public access to the west front of the Capitol from September 7th to February 28th, 2021 to allow for the safe and secure construction of inaugural platform stands and other infrastructure necessary to support the event. Yeah, but what does February 28th have to do with anything? What? Interesting. Excuse me? Construction began on September 29th. Okay, but what does it 28th have to do? What, they need a month to dismantle the whole thing? Inaugural first nail ceremony, which traditionally commemorates the start of construction of the inaugural platform, was not held because it was coincided with the period of remembrance for the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay. This whole thing is so odd. It's just so like dystopian. I don't know what to make of this. Only SES will show up. It's just so weird. My God. Oh, here we go. Inaugural committee would organize several other inauguration-related events at the direction of the President-elect, Vice President. Okay, committee is led by Jim Clyburn, Eric Garcetti, Cedric Richmond, Lisa Blunt Rochester, and Gretchen Whitmer. Oh my God, that psycho person. Tony Allen. Marju Varghese, I don't know who this person is. Yvonne Cancela, Aaron Wilson, David Kessler, Adrian Elrod. Commissioner's official YouTube feature exclusive content related to inaugural ceremonies. Lighting ceremony at the Lincoln Memorial Pool will be held simultaneously. Oh, they're still going to have something at the Lincoln Pool, and I'm surprised that the Lincoln statue is not going to be torn down like, you know, it's being torn down all over the country by Antifa people and BLM people. Nice. Okay. Biden may travel to Washington, D.C. on a passenger train, which he routinely traveled during this time as U.S. Senator, earning him the nickname as Amtrak Joe. My friends, I'll tell you something. I'm a DJ. I'm a former DJ, but once a DJ, always a DJ. You know, we used to refer to Amtrak when a DJ was mixing, and and he did what's called a train wreck. When he did a train wreck, when he couldn't, when he screwed up matching the beats, we literally used to call that Amtrak. Because Amtrak had a lot of accidents. His nickname is Amtrak Joe. Oh my God, I haven't heard that one. This is actually probably the best nickname that he has, as opposed to like, apart from like Joe, what is it, Sleepy Joe, or I don't know, Basement Joe, or Creepy Joe, Sniffy Joe, I don't know, whatever. Amtrak Joe. God. Biden, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, Amtrak, a seller train bound for his namesake to Wilmington, Delaware. Oh my God. My friends, they're going to swear him in secret and claim he's legit, and then it's on. On as in like Harris becomes the president. Oh my God. My friends, I'm telling you, I feel like this is like Purim, I feel like Hashem is just like threatening us with like a knife to the throat, and then at the last second everything is going to be, I'm just like praying that this will happen at this point. I feel like we have to like just pray and fast. I don't know what we should do, like Esther Amalka did, with the people. It's really, and I heard this from other people about the whole Purim thing, It's not I'm not the first person to say this. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's really amazing. Oh, here we go. 5 applications of First Amendment permits are being processed by National Park Service for demonstration on Inauguration Day, including those filed by Answer Coalition and by 2 pro-Trump groups. A series of protests and counter-protests related, yeah, by the way, guys, it's really funny how, like, there's going to be a rally on Wednesday, the Stop the Steal thing, and the mayor of D.C., the leftist, she basically was like, yeah, I'm requesting that National Guard be sent in because these things, they had 2 previous rallies and there was like violence. She didn't say in the letter that there was violence. The violence was caused all by, Antifa and BLM. She said there was just violence. And then Miller, what's his name? What's his name? Chris Miller, the guy, Secretary of Defense, is like, okay, yeah, I'm giving you National Guard. It's all good. But like, National Guard is going to squash BLM and Antifa, not the people who are coming to peacefully protest. The pro-Trump crowd is just peacefully stand, who never caused any kind of, initiate violence. Oh, whose answer? Act now to stop war. Oh, so this is interesting. These people are going to protest. Act now to stop war and end racism. These are the people. Yeah, it says, formed in the wake of. These are people who are anti-Iraq war. They're also, whatever, pro, anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian, whatever it is. Okay. Well, they can protest. They also want to protest. Well, let them protest. Listen, if you let them protest, let other people protest peacefully, Anyway, my friends, now you got the lay of the land, as if you needed me to tell you. Brian Lasseter, Ezra Cohen will save the day. I'm thinking that this will be the big moment. Yeah, if you guys, by the way, guys, I'm going to end with this. If those of you guys have not seen this, who have not seen this yet, go on YouTube, and I'll post it here. Type in, I'll tell you exactly what his name is, Ezra Cohen. You can even type in Ezra Cohen, you'll get it. There's a lot of, like, duplicate videos of this. Ezra Cohen Watnick, Jewish guy, young guy. He is the Undersecretary of Defense, and he made an incredible speech. I mean, you can catch, like, there's a 2-minute clip of it where he talks about what John F. Kennedy started, President Kennedy started. And it's basically, you know what? Let me play it. I'll play it for you guys, just the audio, so you guys could hear it. I'll play just the 2-minute. Oh, here. I'll start it here. I'll tell you guys real quick about Ezra Cohen, and I'll play you guys the video. Thank you, by the way, Brian, for bringing this up. Ezra Asa Cohen Watnick is the current acting Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. He previously served as an acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict. My friends, those of you wondering what's low-intensity conflict, you're talking about non-military, but like everything else. National Security Advisor to the U.S. Attorney General, as a former Senior Director of Intelligence for This guy, for United States National Security Council, NSC, my friends, this guy, he is 34. I mean, this guy puts, I feel like a clown. This guy's 34 years old. He's 34 years old. The guy, here. And I also have a bachelor's in political science. See, this guy's got, but he's got a bachelor's from UPenn. And then he went to the Office of Naval Intelligence, right after he bachelor's. Then he worked for DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, beginning 2010. And he served in Miami and Haiti, Virginia, and Afghanistan. This guy, he's 34. He's 34. He's accepted into the training program for Defense Clandestine Service. Crazy stuff, my friends. Underwent training at Camp Peary. So this guy's like he's a spy. He's not just like a dude that like is like an apparatchik and just working in political whatever. He is trained by CIA, assigned to Afghanistan with a GS-13 rank, temporarily assigned to DIA headquarters, and during Obama, by the way, left DIA for National Security Council. This guy, I mean, wow. So basically, he started working in this field, so to speak. He was 24 years old, my friends. He was 24. This guy's he's like a flipping Mozart of national security. He's a prodigy. This guy. You know. See, it says he was brought in under by Michael Flynn, and then became President Donald Trump's first national security advisor. Okay. Flynn was. Okay. Senior director. Okay, Colin Watnick, the immediate preceding senior director to the Obama administration, was a political appointee. Some viewed Colin Watnick's appointment as a sign of Trump's mistrust of the CIA. Makes sense. Yeah, Ezra was the guy who gave the Nunes the goods on Spygate. Yep, about the Russia thing. My friends, okay, so basically now you understand who this guy is. Basically a genius and an incredible person, and I'm going to now play for you this video, at least the audio part of it. Yeah, here we go. Okay, this is a 2-minute 20-second thing. I mean, it was a 12-minute speech that he gave, but this is the meat of the whole thing.
The Department of Defense has started
By the way, this is on November 18th, 2 weeks after the election.
Process of formalizing what we have long known, the fundamental role of U.S. Special Operations in defense and foreign policy by elevating Special Operations forces to a level on par with military departments as authorized and directed by Congress.
Listen carefully.
As we enact these reforms, we follow the vision of President John F. Kennedy,
wow,
who predicted the rise of special operations nearly 60 years ago. He foresaw
there's Miller.
Another type of war,
there's his boss,
new in its intensity, ancient in its origin, that would require a whole new kind of strategy, a wholly different kind of force, forces which are too unconventional to be called conventional forces,
amazing,
which are growing in number and importance and significance.
Right?
President Kennedy
2 weeks after
gave
the
these
election.
remarks at the opening of the nuclear age, when the Pentagon was primarily organized to plan and direct large conventional operations against superpowers, not special operations short of overt declared conflict. The global demands for special operations forces then and now has confirmed President Kennedy's foresight. And now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of special operations forces. It is fitting that we are again entering an era of great power competition as we gather to affirm the importance of the special operations community. Then as now, I know special operations forces will play a vital role, and by the historic reforms we have enacted today, we will ensure Special Operations Forces has a civilian advocate commensurate to the secretaries of the other military departments. I am honored to serve as your service secretary. Thank you very much.
Amazing, my friends. So